Thank you so much for the kind introduction. Okay, two more people. 2, 4, 6. Wow, okay. Less than 10 people. I think this is a record for the last 10 years. Okay, nevertheless, it's just me in between you and the beer, I believe. Or is there another presentation after me?
There's a panel.
As a panel, okay, good. So then I try to keep it short. What I'm talking here today of is, I know there's a lot of regulation also in your area, in the pharma area, and I have no idea about that because I'm not a pharma expert. I'm not talking about regulations specifically for pharma, but there are some regulations which are also touching you on European level, at least parts of the pharma area. For example, the packaging area and so on, right? Which is part of your pharma area. You might know and have heard about a little bit OPC, so I'm giving you just a short update because I believe that OPC in your mind is somebody who lost this. It's you. It's your prize. For you, I believe it's a connectivity, and I try to get rid of that in your brain. So give me a chance of that. So there is, if we like it or not, I'm not judging. There are regulations coming on European level. They are in place already. For example, the digital product passport, which is in place, in force already for the year 2027. And also areas of you have to fulfill this. In general, we are moving into a more and more digitalized world, obviously. Years ago, we called this IoT, and also here we.CONECT had a lot of IoT conferences, and now the IoT hype is off. It's gone. But anyway, everything gets digitalized. We want to measure everything. And we want to connect everything, and we want to get inserts of everything, and we want to use artificial intelligence on everything. Okay, this is what we agree. We don't know how to do it, and we disagree on how to do it, right? I can talk in details on all of this. I'm skipping this because that's anyway public available information. Where's the microphone here? But if you want to do digitalization, I see more and more that we have not a common understanding on how to do this. And I totally disagree on what I learned this morning in another talk about the universal namespace is the solution of everything. This is completely, yeah, I have to stay cool and not laugh about that. This is a concept of 20, 25 years ago. And we don't need a universal namespace. It's another hype right now. After the IoT hype, it's now the universal namespace hype. What we need is a universal address space. That's something different. And the universal namespace doesn't give you any answer on how to do secure onboarding. And I asked this question this morning, who is guaranteeing that we have the same semantic understanding of something? And saying everything is connected in a universal namespace via MQTT is also crap, because MQTT has no definition of a payload, so all that is crap. What we need is, we have to agree on one standard, which is both, not only for the production OT people, but also for the IT people. We do not want that somebody is defining the temperature for the production line, and then somebody, or let's say energy cost, somebody is defining the energy topic in the OT world, and another person from the IT world is defining another topic for energy, and they don't fit together. And then we need mapping, and then we have to talk and so on. We don't want this. So we want to have one solution which is harmonized. It should be completely secure, reliable. This is where universal namespace is out already. It should be for static and dynamic data, independent from vendors, platform, and so on. You can read it anyway on your own. It should scale from the center to enterprise. It should be international. It should be standardized. Universal namespace is out. It should have open source commercial offerings and modern IPR policy. And obviously, and I will tell you this later on, all this is what you can check public is exactly OPC UA. It has been designed 20 years ago, 25 years ago. They started, not me. It is on the market since 20 years. So one slide very quickly, what is the OPC Foundation? It's a non-profit organization, more than 1,000 members worldwide. I'm talking here more about the deliverables. Everything is open, free of charge, available. So if you want to get information, you don't have to become a member of the OPC Foundation. Good for you. We don't want your money. You can keep your money. Because if it's not open, it will not adapt anyway. Right? So, yeah. A few numbers, more than 1,000 members, 60% Europe. We only have income by member fees. We have round about $4.3 million income each year. We are in multiple regions. There are over 150 working groups, and this is a number I'm most proud of. I do not know any other association in the world who is providing more standardized information models than the OPC Foundation, free of charge. Exactly who is defining, I'm a robot, I'm an injection molding machine, I'm a packaging machine for the OT world, but also for the IT world. I'm the digital product passport, I'm the carbon footprint report, what you also have to do, that's why you are here. So, which means we are also converting information models, what others have done, into our language, because our OPC language is so powerful. We have 0 employees. It's mostly driven by volunteers. It's a worldwide standard, not only here in Europe as an IEC standard, it's also a local standard in China and everywhere else in the world where it's important. A lot of open source topics and so on. Because we are here also on MES next door and so on, this part only, you have a machine and then you have connectivity via OPC to an MES system. This is what most people have in their mind. Oh yeah, it's a protocol. This is where I have heard somehow OPC, it's my colleague and he's in the OT world. From all this big picture, you are addressing this error here, right? But OPC you can connect horizontally between machines for exchanging deterministic data between machines. 30 years ago, when I was really young and thin, at that time, you were really reading data from one machine into the IT application and then downloading it to the other machine. That is exactly what we have done 30 years ago. I'm losing my microphone here. Today, this is done by configuration, by connecting machines horizontally to each other. And the who is who of the world, the Siemens, the Rockwells, the Mitsubishis, the Phoenix, whoever you name, are participating on this and doing this horizontal data exchange. Even for deterministic data exchange, that you can move robots and so on. But we are also moving data to the cloud and via satellites and from rockets and so on and so on. Now I can read a little bit your brain. We don't believe this. There is one solution fulfilling everything. I mean, that would be great, right? It is, why don't we know this before? Is this one protocol fitting to everything? No. It is exactly not a protocol because you have on your brain, it is a protocol. And then this never would fit because there is not one single protocol fulfilling all the needs in the world. You need deterministic real-time here on this level. You need other communication to cloud systems. It is completely everywhere, it's different. And so the communication and the protocols at the end do not matter at all. And this is why I completely disagree with the universal namespace, everything is MQTT. Then we can agree everything is Profinet from Siemens. We can agree everything is OPC and say, hallelujah, solved. It's not. The protocol does not matter. The protocol doesn't solve something. And that's why I ask here, are you using OPC as a protocol or are you using it as a modeling language to describe something? So what we do with OPC is we are moving from on the left side from protocols, moving data from one level to the other into an information network where we agree on the information. Is this a Jaguar? Is this a car, or is it the animal? We don't know, right? And so if we human beings have one word and we don't know what it is, how should machines then exactly know, oh, this parameter means this or that? This is exactly the challenge today in factory floors, where we have robots from different suppliers and they have the same variables with completely different meanings. So OPC is defining, it's a mechanism to define the modeling. And then you can transfer it via different standards, also MQTT and also with universal namespace as a concept to somewhere. I'm skipping this slide. I made a lot of statements on universal namespace anyway, so we are doing this with OPC since years. Okay, OPC Foundation is not only all the OT companies, it's also all the big IT companies. It's the only organization in the world who brings both camps together. Because the last 20 years, every camp tried to convince the other camp, we have the solution, why don't you adapt it just? We know it better, we IT people and cloud people. We know it much better. You stupid OT people, you make everything complicated, right? OPC has been defined within just 3 years. 20 years ago, it is 19 years backward compatibility. No other standard has delivered this till now. I'm skipping here the technical part, but a key point is really the modeling language. OPC is a modeling tool. And then, once you have described something, I'm the robot, I'm the product passport, then we have protocol and exchange mechanisms for different levels because different worlds access information in a different way. We have REST interfaces for the IT people, and we have UDP for the field people because they need super fast connection on a shop floor level. Skipping this a little bit, so OPC is covering everything. I'm talking a few minutes about the cloud initiative because that's key. And I believe this is definitely directing in the, it's moving in the direction what we all dreamed about. And maybe you're not aware that part of the dream is already true. So the OPC Foundation started last year a so-called cloud initiative. There are a couple of working groups for different topics. I'm not diving into this one. The first topic above the yellow marked one is, okay, we want to standardize the connectivity. Yeah, it's over MQTT, but MQTT is not enough. MQTT doesn't define the payload. So every receiver, if everybody is sending something via MQTT to a cloud or to your MES system, you always need a receiver routine to understand, oh, this comes from a Siemens device, this from the Rockwell device, and how did they do the MQTT? This is not plug and play. This is not what we want. We want to have simplified that you plug something in, somebody is pushing out MQTT, and everybody has an immediate understanding on what is the meaning of that. And so you have to agree on the content. And that's the yellow part. And I never, even I'm a very optimistic person, I never thought this would become reality and the truth while I'm on work. But reality is that from the 420 information models which are existing in the world, I'm a robot, I'm an injection molding machine, I'm a coffee machine, and so on. There's one cloud supplier, and I can name always good examples, Microsoft, Azure, who are able since 4 or 5 years to keep that information on the complete way up into the cloud. The structure, the context of the information is still available in Azure Cloud, and after that you can leverage the information for your artificial intelligence, for your whatever services you do after that, because you have still the full information model with all the references and the context of information. And obviously, if one of these big cloud suppliers is doing this, then the others, it's like a domino system, then the others are also doing it. Right now, Amazon Web Services is also implementing that in their Boston team. That's really great. So you will be able to order in future something which is called OPC CX, Cloud Exchange, to say, is my MES system OPC CX compatible? Because then I know this system is also pushing data to cloud or providing the data in a completely validated and certified way. So we are building up this certification and so on. There is already a reference architecture, which I'm not explaining. It looks super complicated. There are 22 building blocks. At the end of the day, you have one block who is providing data, and then it goes from the OT world to the IT world, and there's one block receiving data, and then uses time series database, and so on and so on. Everything is described. You can download the brochure. And I'm not diving into the detail, but look here. It's the first time that you have different offerings from different cloud suppliers, and all of them are part of the cloud initiative. And they are saying, okay, for the reference architecture, the cloud broker is this name under Amazon, and it's this at SAP. So you see that we have not only the cloud suppliers, so the big cloud providers, we also have end users and the big automation companies. And the end customers reviewed the concept of cloud suppliers and said, this makes sense, and this is not okay. You just try to keep us in your big ecosystem. We want to be independent. What end users want is, I want to take box number 7 from AWS, but number 8 I want to select from SAP, and number 11 from Microsoft, and whatever, randomly selected. And that's what will happen. This is exactly what will happen. There's also everything available as open source, if you don't want to pay high royalties. And I'm getting a little bit quicker here. There's also what I was surprised when I did this brochure, when I started the marketing, that a couple of the companies, look here at Siemens offerings, ABB offerings, they have, I thought Siemens and ABB are automation companies, and they're delivering the 4, 5, 6 boxes on the OT side. That's not true. They are dramatically in the IT world and more growing into this world. So the IT companies try to grow down, the OT companies try to grow up. That's really interesting to see all the offerings in one brochure, free of charge, just download it. Again, there are multiple working groups, and I'm just highlighting a few of them. If you want to work with the concept of digital twins, then the first challenge is there is no international definition of what is a digital twin. Everybody has its own meaning on my understanding of a digital twin is like this or like that and like that. And I don't have another one for you. I don't care. I don't care. But what we provided as open source is, if you have a machine, the machine has an OPC server built in or on top of that as a gateway, and it has this kind of, we call it information model, a companion spec. Like here, I'm a robot. Okay. Then you can just with one click create an instance of that in the edge or in the cloud. And then it's up to you figuring out, do I want to have the complete information model of the robot, as an example, or is it just too much effort? I don't have to move all the data cyclically to the cloud. I just take 10% or 50% or whatever percentage of information. And then the robot inside the field is talking UDP technology, but to the cloud, it's OPCA over MQTT. Again, I'm not against MQTT. We love it. It's part of our specification. But again, MQTT is not enough. Nobody defined the payload of MQTT. So it's ridiculous. And somebody wants to have MQTT in a JSON format, the other one wants to have more security, and he wants to binary put data together, encrypt them, and only the receiver can decrypt them, and so on and so on. Everything is possible. So we can run a digital twin on open source out of the box. Metaverse. The company Renault in France is completely running their factories with a digital metaverse where the physical modeled existing world completely on OPCA is connected to the digital representation, and they can measure downtimes and whatever. So it's amazing. I'm talking a little bit about the digital product passport because this is also affecting you, if you want or not. And here we have, and now I have to be careful here in Berlin, as the capital city of Germany, because German research, we are not recording here, right? So I can be a little bit more open. Spent, I think, 1 billion euro on redefining the wheel on, we want to have interoperability for the IT world. And they started to redefine the wheel. And 10 years later, they realized, oh, for interoperability, we need a meta modeling language to describe something, we need exchange information, and we need security. These are the three principles. And they failed twice, and now they selected, oh, let's take OPC as a backbone for the digital product passport. What we told them 10 years ago. Anyway, we showed that digital battery passport with a 4Y battery, and we see a big push exactly to the artificial intelligence group, where AI has a benefit to be much more quicker and much more efficient if you have an underlying structure with semantic information. What does the information mean, right? Just two hints, you can run data spaces with OPC because we deliver the interoperability, but we don't put on top the data sovereignty. There's the Catena X, it's exactly the supply chain. If you have to deliver supply chain management for something, they say they solved it for the automotive industry and they are ready to move it to all other vertical markets. So I don't know if they affect also the pharma, or is there also a German-driven Pharma X project? Maybe, because we have so much money on that. I don't know. Okay. Short overview again to remind you, there are over 420 information models. This is where we work together with other multipliers. These are always the associations behind the machine tools and the association behind all companies working on laser systems and so on, right? There's a lot of offerings. You see that OPC is everywhere in the process space, with 30% of the energy production of Norway completely moved up to Microsoft Azure. It is connected with Renault to Google. I believe that everybody in the morning stays up with something which is produced with OPC, right, from Procter & Gamble. And as mentioned before, OPC is even in civil rockets from Airbus in the space, sending information down because it's so reliable. I'm skipping here another, but here you see that we are cooperating with others. But whatever happens on IDTA, on the asset shell, the underlying technology of the asset administration shell is OPC. If you don't believe that, join that webinar. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much and enjoy the beer later on.